All right. So, as I was saying, the subject followed by a comma, then additional information. It could also be called in dependent clause. Then a second comma, and then the verb comes. So actually, the part in the with the arrow is the main sentence, the real sentence, right? And that is an additional part with just the underline. So that is one pattern that you can use in the essay or for any writing task, where it shows here emotion is seen as a common psychological trait of a human, but you add in additional information with 2 comma. Emotion, an abstract feeling with lots of ups and downs, is seen as. So what is emotion? That has been expressed in the 2 commas. So this is how, rather than writing a separate sentence for an information that is connected with this with the very subject, can be added with 2 commas. But remember, most importantly, you cannot use any auxiliary here in this part. 1 minute.
What do you mean by auxiliary? Like what?
Am, is, are, was, were, or even a verb. But in short, you cannot use any kind of verb within these 2 commas, because
Okay.
they are not the complete sentence. This is the complete sentence. You have the verb or auxiliary, whatever it is, after the second comma.
Okay.
So that is the first pattern. Second one, almost same, as you can see, just being an abstract. Being has been added. So you can also add being to actually refer to a noun, any kind of noun. For example, if I give another example, the poet, comma, being the best of his time, comma, has written many legendary poetry, something like that, right? So being what? A poet. That is the noun that has been referred by being. You can also use that way if there is a reference to a noun right after that. Otherwise, just an additional information like the previous one. The third one, as you can see, our society doesn't see criminals as a subject that can be addressed for correction, at least most part of it. So here the focus is the use of semicolon, right? This one.
Yes.
So when do you use semicolon?
I think we use semicolon when comes after the semicolon is answering the question why, or
Yes, very close, or also an information brief that is very close or almost an undeniable part, unbreakable part of what has been written before. Here, for example, our society doesn't see criminals as a subject that can be addressed for correction, at least most part of it. Most part of what? The subject of criminals. So that's very closely related. And that's a brief information that can be added with a semicolon. Another example in number 4, the fact that people these days tend to spend more time on gadgets is alarming, semicolon, an issue that must be addressed with proper attention. What is the issue? The excessive use of gadgets by the youths, right, or people. Another way of using semicolon is like, when you write however, nonetheless, nevertheless, therefore, if you want to add them with the previous sentence without a full stop, then you can put a semicolon and then write a those words and comma. Let me just show you again. I'll just show it here. Say this is an idea that was you see, this is how you can also write the semicolon with however, nonetheless, therefore. But these words can also be used with the new sentence, like you can put a full stop here. Usually most of the time they are used that way, and then you write however, comma, not also in that way. Clear?
okay, so you're saying when the second sentence is referring to the first sentence, like using that or something, we use semicolon?
Yes, not instead of that, but something that is very close to the previous statement. Very close, a part of it.
Okay, I remember in my essay you asked me to put a hyphen. So what's
That
it?
is, yeah, that is a different case. Like in this case, sometimes when you have a sentence starting with what or why and then followed by auxiliary like is, then you cannot directly add a new sentence without that or a hyphen. For example, what they really think is, after is, the basically the reason is that after is here there has to be a noun. Okay,
Mm,
then you don't have to put any hyphen or that. For example, what they really think is the ultimate objective of this operation. This is ultimate objective of this operation, or ultimate objective. It is a noun after the is. If you start a sentence with what or why and then followed by is, are, whatever it is, or will be, if you don't use noun and you want to use a sentence, a new sentence after is, then you cannot simply write this way. That would be wrong. Like, that would be wrong, because right after is you cannot add after any auxiliary verbs you cannot add suddenly a new subject and a new sentence. So what to do? You have to separate this with a hyphen. Okay, maybe semicolon may be used, but hyphen is a better choice here, or at least that. Okay, or also basically that is the, even if you don't use that what, why, anything after is or am is or any auxiliary, you cannot add new sentence. You have to add a noun. If you want to add a new sentence, there has to be a hyphen with this kind of expressions. Like another expression I used in my template, like an example that can be, you remember, if you want to add a sentence here, add a hyphen, or you write is that and then add a new sentence with a new subject. Clear?
mm, okay.
All right, so going back. Okay, all right, so number 5 is an interesting expression. Like whenever you use transitional words like however, in addition. Where are you, Mr., where are you going, Mr. Anamgir?
Yup, yup.
Don't miss the discussion.
Indeed.
Okay,
No, 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 no. I mean,
so as I was saying, you're planning to use this to the contrary, however, in addition. So if you just always write it at the start of the sentence, so that's a monotonous structure. So sometimes, at least once, don't write it twice. Do not write any style twice. That is the thing, right? For example, there are, to the contrary, different views on this issue. You may also write to the contrary, comma, there are different views. But that is a better style if you write there are, to the contrary, or there are, however, different views on this account or on this issue. Clear? So there is another style, like right after the subject and verb, you may use these kinds of words. They are called transitional words, like to the contrary, however, in addition, furthermore. Okay, linkers. They are linkers basically. So that is how you can use one expression.